Welcome to Jake and Trev Review Everything. I'm Trev.
And I'm Jake.
And today we're going to be taking a look at another Walter Hill movie.
I thought it was an interesting piece of material.
We would like to apologize right out of the gate. This is the third Walter Hill movie that we'll be reviewing.
We would run into each other over the years.
We promise that we will review something else besides Walter Hill.
This is not a Walter Hill review site. This is, it's everything review site. I think it was an interesting coincidence that the both of us were very interested in doing a couple of Walter Hill movies, just as a Walter Hill movie was coming out in theaters. It's almost like we planned it that way.
Yeah.
There's a reason. There isn't. It's not an accident.
And the movie that we're reviewing, if you haven't figured it out yet, is Bullet to the Head with Sylvester Stallone.
I know, I've heard the speech. We should have taken him in.
Alright, the star of the movie, Sylvester Stallone, he plays a hitman in this. He has a partner, because apparently hitmen have partners in this universe, and they do a hit, except for it's deeper than you think it is, and his partner gets killed as a consequence of it. So Sylvester Stallone's character, who is Sonny Bonomo...
Sonny Chiba? No.
Sonny Bonobo? It's a weird name.
It's James Bonomo.
James Bonomo. And
There was a lot of sex monkey jokes between Jake and I while we were watching this. Low-hanging fruit, I know, but it was right there.
But he has to go and find who killed his partner and get revenge.
I swear to you, when I get this guy, it's going to be bad.
Sung Kang is a detective who is a part of the Washington, D.C. Police Department who has come to Baton Rouge, Louisiana to look for a former partner of his, only to find, of course, that he is dead, the victim of the previous hit by Sylvester Stallone and his partner. And as it's clear that there is some things that this is involved with in the city's crime structure, he kind of wants to stick around and see it through and kind of get closure about his partner.
I'm not interested in some disposable hired hitter. I want the guys who took out your partner.
I smell a difficult partnership coming up.
Oh, man.
It's not exactly a strong support system.
Trevor, what did you think about this movie?
I think I left a little bit more optimistic about things. We got to see some good action from Sylvester Stallone. I think I said to you, like as soon as we were done with this movie, that if we had 20 more minutes, just 20 more minutes of footage could have saved this movie from being the mess that it was. And you vehemently disagree.
No, my feeling on this movie is that it isn't very good at all. I think another 20 minutes would have been another 20 minutes of crap. At one point, Liu Kang's character is calling up on a phone to get all sorts of information on the bad guys in the movie, and we called her the script. He was calling up the script to see what was going on in the movie. So all the exposition about the movie is blatant and stupid.
I'm not trying to manipulate. It is what it is.
I would not recommend this movie to pretty much anyone except for the most diehard of Walter Hill and Sylvester Stallone fans. Anybody else that wants to see a good movie, go somewhere else.
Bang, down, owned.
Okay, so going forward here, we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about some of the things that happen in this movie. So if you're interested in going and see it, and I think you should, it's a passable movie. He does not. But if you're going to watch it, here be spoilers. This movie, unfortunately, continues a bad trend I see happening now. I've seen it with The Last Stand, with this movie, with The Expendables, with some of Bruce Willis's most recent affair. We have these celebrated action heroes of yesteryear, and of course, they're getting old.
He may be older. Hey, you mind if we listen to something from this century?
And for some reason, the makers of these movies just want to push it in my face that they're older. This guy is getting old now. He's old now, you get it?
How are you, Sheriff?
Old.
I don't care. I like Sylvester Stallone. I like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I like, Bruce Willis because of who they are and the work they've done and what I think they're going to bring to the table. It literally matters not at all that they are old now.
You alright?
My cholesterol's a little high.
They're still a damn sight better than almost, well, pretty much any action star right now. The Rock, John Cena, Jason Statham, none of them got the same kind of appeal and star luster that these other action stars have.
Sylvester Stallone in particular was in Rambo, he was in Rocky. Those are all really good movies. I think that when he did John Rambo and Rocky Balboa, he was old in those movies, and it was more of a point of the movie. In Rocky Balboa, he was old, and the whole premise of that movie was to see if he could face the new up-and-coming champion. When he was in John Rambo, he was old, but he could still cut it in Burma.
Burma's a war zone.
So those made sense as far as he's an old guy, but he can still cut the mustard. Every other instance, like The Last Stand in this movie, Bullet to the Head, Sylvester Stallone is basically using that as a crutch, like, hey, I'm still awesome even though I'm old. We know they're good. They could be 100 years old, and if they could still, do a roundhouse kick, then they'll probably still kick ass. We get that they're fucking old. It's not a selling point to me like this, that the old guard they still got it. I don't think that should be the focal point of your fucking movie.
They want to make sure that we know that they're in on the joke too. They know that we're all sitting at home or in the theater saying, oh man, these guys are starting to get a little old, huh?
Eating the popcorn, oh man, Sylvester Stallone's pretty old, huh? And then he kicks some ass and we're like, oh, well I guess he's still got it. The other thing that really bugs me about old action stars being in movies now is that when they started off, they weren't that well known. You're looking at your Bruce Willis's and your Arnold Schwarzenegger's and your Sylvester Stallone's when they were first starting off. When they were characters in their movies, they had a lot of things to overcome for them to become badasses. When you had Sylvester Stallone in particular, in Rambo, he went into a town, he was picked on for being a war vet, which was a thing at the time, and, then he gets revenge on them by, hitting them with trees and shit.
Somebody help me! Don't push it, I'll give you a war you won't believe.
So that was a thing. When Bruce Willis was in Die Hard, he is a regular street cop. He's not a fucking special ops guy or anything like that.
Not on SWAT.
He goes to L.A. to see his wife, and the building she's in gets taken over by terrorists.
Now, the last thing McClane wants, think, is to be a hero.
And he has to do his best to take them out.
But he doesn't have a choice.
He is in a 1,000-to-1 situation where you don't think that he's going to make it out. He's just one man against a crew of terrorists.
Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
As they went on, they got more celebrated as being action stars, and their characters quickly became the omniscient ass kickers that do no wrong.
I'll take it from here.
You just killed a helicopter with a car!
And Sylvester Stallone's character in this movie has a real problem with that, in that he has an answer to everything in this movie. Every time there's a situation where his cohort or sidekick or whatever isn't able to deal with it, he has an answer for it immediately. And it's really annoying. It's very similar to when you were playing Cops and Robbers or Cowboys and Indians or whatever when you were little, and there would always be a kid that's like, oh, you would be like, oh, I shot you, and he's like, no, because I deflected it with my shield, and it's like, oh, well, I got you in handcuffs, oh, well, I broke out of them because I'm so awesome. Like, it's that annoying kid. It's like, no, you're just a fucking New York cop. You're not some special forces guy who can go into a room and kill everybody. That's not the point of your character. Taylor, in the movie, the character, he gets into some sort of situation, and Sylvester Stallone has to pull him out of the fire because he's just so fucking bumbling in this movie, and it really plays a disservice to his character and the actor, too, because he could be doing a lot of other things in other movies where he doesn't have to take the backseat to some big star like Sylvester Stallone.
Unfortunately, I wasn't looking in on this movie during its production. I didn't hear about it really until the trailers kind of hit in the theaters recently. And we've done a little research on the subject. Research for an internet show? No kidding. But we did a little research.
We know our stuff.
Right. We did a little research and we found out that apparently Thomas Jane
Milk and eggs, bitch.
was previously slated for the cop role in this movie. And when the original director, Wayne Kramer, he got fired from this production, apparently, because he wasn't playing nice with Sylvester Stallone. Apparently, Sylvester Stallone really wanted to have more say in the kind of the tone of the movie. It ended up the director, Wayne Kramer, gets removed from the project, and at Thomas Jane's suggestion, Walter Hill comes in. And then after Walter Hill comes in,
Joel Silver is the producer.
A frequent collaborator with Walter Hill. And Joel Silver, the producer, says, well, let's get rid of Thomas Jane and put an ethnic guy in here because that'll sell better.
Ethnically we're completely different.
The only thing they got out of it was that Sylvester Stallone makes a bunch of Asian jokes. And that's it.
What are you going to do, bring out some kung fu from the homeland?
I know they're definitely going to love the humor.
Him being Asian contributed less than nothing to the movie. It, in fact, made the movie worse because it gave Sylvester Stallone the justification to rifle off a couple of racist jokes that are so lowbrow and low-hanging. It just kind of...
They're not even jokes!
Why were they put in? Who are they meant to appeal to? Racist people? I don't get it!
I think it's going to be a really fun ride.
No, I think that if it had been Thomas Jane, and I feel really bad because
I love Tom Jane.
Because the cop character in this movie, the actor, really tried his hardest. There was a few moments where he really sold his character, even though his character's not worth anything in this fucking movie.
I was thinking to myself at one point, yeah, he's doing a good job. I like this kid.
But I think I would have preferred Thomas Jane in the movie because I think that he would have brought something to it and actually had more than just Sylvester Stallone hogging the spotlight in this movie and made it a more dynamic movie.
Right. Thomas Jane strikes me as a sort of actor who probably wouldn't have been able to be kind of pushed around as much as I think this actor did in terms of what he was supposed to be doing in this movie.
And I hate to think that that's why they replaced Tom Jane, was just so that Sylvester Stallone could hog the spotlight, but watching this movie, I think that's pretty much what happened. The big baddie is a guy who came in from Africa.
Hire people like you to eliminate the enemy.
And now he is trying to buy up or insurance fraud or whatever his way into taking over real estate in Louisiana so that he can make these well-to-do homes out of ghettos where poor people live. So that's his evil plan. And it's stupid.
It's not a very dastardly plan, ultimately.
It's a Lex Luthor plan.
People are no damn good, but they will always need land, and they'll pay through the nose to get it.
So the character Jason Momoa plays a opposing hitman who kills Sylvester Stallone's partner, and the whole reason he's there is so that Sylvester Stallone can get revenge on him.
You and me got a little unfinished business to take care of.
There's a couple problems I have with Jason Momoa's character in this movie. He is playing it like a high schooler trying to be a badass. Every time he goes into a room and kills people because he's a hitman, he smirks about it and tries to be all tough. It's like the imitation of what a tough guy should be.
You had to push it. Well, now you're gonna pay.
The hitman in Boondock Saints, the guy with the glasses that they go and hit. He's a scary hitman. They tell a story about how he went in and killed an entire family and he didn't even change his expression. That's a scary hitman. That's a scary bad guy. Jason Momoa in this movie
He's just like...
I'm such a bad guy.
Oh, that didn't hurt, did it?
Oh. Ouch. You okay?
I think also the casting of Jason Momoa and then bringing him forward in this was kind of another way. It's connected with the whole... Sylvester Stallone's old now, get it? They needed to put him up against not someone who could meet him on the same level, but some young, tall, muscular guy who's kind of up and coming.
They have wonderful performances by new and up and coming people.
In the movie, apparently he's up and coming in the local hitman scene, and now in the real world, of course, he's starting to get a little bit more recognizability. He was Conan, he was Khal Drogo in the Game of Thrones series. So some people are starting to know who he is, so it's kind of reflected both where, you know, he's kind of up and coming, and that's why he's going to be, you know, the person that's going to take Sylvester Stallone down.
It's almost sad in its symbolism in this movie that Sylvester Stallone has to pit himself against a new, fresh face and win. Spoilers. Also, Walter Hill, another Walter Hill influence. In the end, it's just Sylvester Stallone and Jason Momoa, and they have an axe fight. We talked in the Streets of Fire review about how they had a hammer fight. They had a rail spike driving fight. Mm-hmm. And in this one, they have an axe fight, and it's the same thing!
So I want to introduce an idea to your consciousness here when you're watching movies, and the concept is too stupid to survive. You see this a lot, usually when, you know, the good guys get their hands on one of the bad guys' lackeys and they're trying to press him for information. And, you know, I mean, I guess it's certainly more interesting than watching a guy cry and you know, beg for his life. You know, but when they take it in the whole opposite direction, and it's like, I know I'm tied up right now, and I know you guys could totally kill me and torture me in all sorts of evil ways, but man, you're all so dumb, and we got all the power. You're never going to get away with this, and we're going to shoot you guys, and I'm going to laugh.
You two are insane. You're dealing with an ex-mercenary. He's going to punch your ticket, and I am going to watch.
And it's just, it's like, is that the sort of thing you would say to the people who are in a position to kill you right now? There is a time and a place for, you know, having your revenge yourself and getting to say all the things that you wanted to say to the people who are hurting you, and when you're in the chair still being hurt is not the time to do it.
Wait until you're free.
Wait until you really do get home and go and find all your powerful buddies and start saying, oh, these guys just started doing all this stuff. And I was thinking, oh, man, you're going to get it later.
Yeah, but don't say it to their faces.
It's too stupid to survive. Christian Slater in this movie is too stupid to survive.
He's in over his head, I would say.
But earlier in the movie, the detective is going to go talk with Sylvester Stallone. And after Sylvester Stallone says, you know, fuck off, I don't talk to cops, you know, I don't deal with cops, I don't trust them. Right, so then he goes across the street out into the impromptu jazz parade that has just erupted in the stereotypical Louisiana street. And he is being followed by some guys, and at first you think they're thugs. They have a confrontation in a nearby parking garage, and then it turns out they're cops. And so then for the rest of the movie, this character continues to call into the local police department and check in and tell him what he's up to and what he's doing. And it doesn't occur to him that maybe everyone's a crooked cop.
Don't trust anybody. That's how you stay in the game.
Later on in the movie, he gets this thumb drive filled with all this information, and because he's such a good cop and he plays by the books, he calls in the captain from the local police station for a meeting so that he can give him the thumb drive. And then it turns out that chief is also in on the whole conspiracy and the corruption. And right before he's about to shoot the stupid DC cop, Sylvester Stallone rolls in and shoots him in the head and is like, oh, it looks like I saved your bacon again.
Throughout this movie, Sylvester Stallone saving this guy's life, and he still just cannot bring him to trust him. They pull their guns on each other so many times in this movie. Sylvester Stallone gets tired of it at one point. He's like, we do this song and dance again, you know. And you stole the words out of my mouth, Si. Are we doing this song and dance again?
Bang, down, owned.
Sylvester Stallone, when he goes to a bar, he doesn't drink the bar's liquor. He drinks his own liquor that he brings with him because nobody carries it. It's like 2-bullet bourbon.
2-bullet bourbon.
2-bullet bourbon, really.
When I'm done with this drink, I'm going to be done with you.
He does this more than once. He actually goes into a bar and they're like, you can't bring your liquor in here. And he's like, here's $50, just give me a glass so I can drink my liquor.
I'm particular who I drink with.
There's usually a wheel of quirks. You get 2 spins and you have to pick 2 character quirks for your bad guy, your main bad guy. And the main bad guy in the movie who's doing all this shady real estate shit.
Well, let's just take a look at the wheel.
Woo! Alright, so he's a war criminal from Africa who's escaping to the States so that he can do his shady real estate plan in Louisiana. Let's spin the wheel again, Trev. Woo! oh, look, he's got some sort of crippling disability that he has to wear crutches, so he's not a tough guy himself, but he's a mastermind, and that's how he does things. Mm-hmm. I think there are some movies that can pull that particular quirk off, like Brick, with the pin. He was an awesome character. If you haven't seen Brick, see that.
I was still scared of the pin in that movie.
Yeah, he was like a 18-year-old kid or a 20-year-old kid, and he was living in his mom's basement.
Water's fine, ma'am. Thanks.
Oh, wait a minute. We have apple juice. It's country style.
And he was terrifying, even though he obviously had a disability. He had a club foot or something.
And he lived with his mother.
That's where a quirk like that works. But when you're just randomly throwing it in the movie just so that the bad guy has a couple of quirks, it doesn't work. So there is one slight twist in this movie that you won't see coming. Jason Momoa kills the guy from Africa with the crutches, who's the main bad guy. He kills all the other guys. He's jealous because at one point Sylvester Stallone says that he'll do a hit for him for $250,000. And Jason Momoa is getting paid $250,000. And he says, oh, well, why do I get paid the same as the other guy? And the main villain says, oh, well, it's because, he brought more to the table than you did. So in a fit of rage, which is really unprofessional, especially if you're a hitman, he just kills his employers. Jason Momoa takes the wind out of Kung's sails by just killing the guy that he's looking for right out. And so this makes Jason Momoa the main final bad guy that Sylvester Stallone has to fight. And I have to assume that Sylvester Stallone at one point was like, wait, I'm not going to be the sidekick guy who gets to kill the second in command, the hired hitman of this main bad guy. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be the guy who gets to play second fiddle to the cop character. The cop character is going to play second fiddle to me.
There was a lot of room in this movie for both characters, both the ostensive main characters, to be able to get theirs in the end. Sylvester Stallone could have totally just did in Jason Momoa, had his revenge, walked away satisfied. The detective could have arrested the real estate tycoon, and he could have done things his way, felt satisfied, come to some kind of conclusion, and been successful, and it was just needlessly robbed.
I guess the only thing that the cop character really gets is that during the fight with Jason Momoa and Sylvester Stallone, Jason Momoa seems to have overpowered Sylvester Stallone at the end of their axe match, and then the cop character comes in and shoots him in the head.
Fatality.
I don't think that it was enough to vindicate the cop character in this movie that he got to kill Jason Momoa in the end, because Sylvester Stallone got the sweet fight scene to himself, but they tried to play it off like that was his vindication for not being able to catch the main bad guy.
So to wrap up about this movie, there's a lot of mistakes here. But I still stand by what I said earlier. I think that this is a passable movie. I'm mostly just mad about what we could have had. And I mean, I hate to have that as a precedent, because I think you can make that argument with about any movie that comes out that doesn't meet your expectations. But I really think 20 minutes could have been used very well to flesh out some of these side stories, to develop the characters a little bit more. This was 90 minutes, basically. It was the most standard time set. I don't think people are opposed to about spending closer to 2 hours in the theater if the story is good. And, well, I guess it could have been 20 meandering, so-so minutes that would have made you look at your watch.
Jesus H. Christ almighty, you think I got all day to fuck around here?
I think that there may have been, in at least one form of the script or another, something a little bit more worthwhile that would have made some of the things they did decide to include in the movie make sense later, as opposed to, what did this bring to the table?
I do not recommend this movie. Trevor mentioned that it was a part of development hell, obviously a little part of hell, maybe the first circle of development hell, with actors and directors getting switched around. I think knowing that, it does kind of ruin the movie a little bit more for me, but even if I hadn't known that, I still wouldn't like this movie very much. Another 20 minutes would have just been used, it would have been wasted on making Sylvester Stallone look like more of a badass, and it would give him more time to prove that he's not too old to be a badass.
It's starting to sound like a broken record.
They don't even make records anymore.
Great.
The other problem that I have with this movie is that with the influences of Walter Hill, I was hoping that he would try something new, and a lot of the hallmarks of a Walter Hill movie were in this, and to the detriment of the movie. Sylvester Stallone's influence on this movie made it more about him and less about the story.
This is the last time. I'll never do this again.
There isn't a whole lot that could save this movie for me, and I really think that it's going to end up in a Walmart $5 bargain bin at some point. Don't even pick it up then. There are better action movies to watch.
We're going to try something new this week. We've touched on it a little bit on the question that I've been left with following everything. How much influence should a big-name actor have on a production like this? Normally, a director is responsible for the overall vision and tone of the movie, but as we've seen, and as we've talked about anyway, Sylvester Stallone really had a lot of push on the tone and how this movie felt. And is any star big enough that they really deserve that kind of power to override what the directors bring to the table? So I'd love to see your comments below.
So that about wraps it up. If you have any comments or any questions or any suggestions for anything that you would like to see, movies, video games, books, comic books, whatever, if you really want us to take a deeper look in depth at it, then just leave a comment below and we'll take a look at it.
I think people have come to accept that we take a deeper look at just about everything.
Oh, yeah. So for Jake and Trev Review Everything, I'm Jake.
I'm Trev.
And thanks for watching.
Peanut butter disaster.